Ambassador Chen stood before the Galactic Council, her hands clasped behind her back, watching the holographic displays flicker to life around the crystalline chamber. The 7 species that governed known space sat in their elevated positions, their various forms of communication creating a symphony of clicks, hums, and translated words that filled the air. "The motion," announced Speaker Vokthar, his tri-mandibles clicking with bureaucratic precision, "is to officially ban humanity from participating in any military conflicts within Council space." All in favor? 6 appendages, tendrils, and pseudopods rose in agreement. Only the Kryn representative hesitated, her scales rippling with uncertainty. Chen didn't flinch. She had expected this. It had been 3 months since the Terran defense fleet had ended the Zarkonian incursion. 3 months since humanity had done what the Council thought impossible. They had won a war that every simulation, every tactical algorithm, every military expert across 100 worlds had declared unwinnable. The Zarkonians had swept through the outer colonies like a plague, overwhelming the Kryn defensive positions in days, reducing the heavily fortified Vrexian outposts to ruins in hours. Their swarm tactics, honed over millennia, had been perfected to an art form, millions of small, expendable drones coordinated by hive minds that could process tactical information faster than any individual consciousness. The Council had begged humanity for help, and humanity had answered. "Ambassador Chen," Vokthar continued, his voice carrying the weight of authority, "you may speak in your defense, though the matter has largely been decided." Chen stepped forward, her boots clicking against the marble-like floor. "I'm curious," she said, her voice calm and measured. "What exactly did we do wrong? We saved the outer colonies. We stopped the Zarkonians. We did what you asked." "That," interjected Counselor Mira of the Elysian Collective, her telepathic voice resonating in everyone's minds, "is precisely the problem. You didn't just stop them, you ended them." Chen raised an eyebrow. "They were trying to exterminate entire populations." "We understand," Vokthar said, his tone almost apologetic. "But your methods, they were disturbing. The Council has reviewed the battle recordings. We have analyzed your tactics, and we have concluded that human warfare is fundamentally incompatible with civilized galactic society." "Incompatible," Chen repeated, tasting the word. "Because we won?" "Because of how you won," corrected the Vrexian representative, its crystalline body chiming softly. "You introduced concepts we had never encountered. Psychological warfare on a scale we thought impossible. Deception so layered that even our AI systems couldn't unravel it. And the cruelty—" "Cruelty?" Chen's voice sharpened. "We offered them surrender. Multiple times. You made them afraid," Mira said quietly. "We watched your Admiral Kowalski's final transmission to the Zarkonian Hive Queen. You didn't threaten destruction. You promised it. You described in excruciating detail how you would dismantle their civilization. You made them understand that humanity doesn't just fight wars. You wage them with intention, with creativity, with 1,000 years of accumulated doctrine on how to break an enemy's will." Chen was silent for a moment. She thought about Admiral Kowalski, a grandmother of 5 who loved painting watercolors in her spare time. She thought about the crew of the flagship Indomitable, many of whom had never fired a weapon in anger before the Zarkonian War. "The Zarkonians have a saying now," Vokthar continued. "Our linguists translated it from their hive communications. It roughly means, the humans do not fight like they are trying to win. They fight like they are trying to teach." "And what's wrong with that?" Chen asked. "Everything," the Kryn representative finally spoke, her voice a low growl. "My people have been warriors for 10,000 years. We understand battle. We understand conquest. But what you did? We studied the siege of Zarkonia Prime. You could have destroyed their planet in minutes with kinetic bombardment. Instead, you spent weeks systematically dismantling their infrastructure. You left their population alive, but you made sure they understood, truly understood, that they had lost. You didn't just defeat them militarily, you defeated them philosophically." Chen felt something cold settle in her chest. "You're afraid of us." "Yes," Mira admitted, her telepathic voice barely a whisper. "Because when we looked at human military doctrine, we found something that no other species possesses. You have a word, total war. The concept that warfare is not just soldier against soldier, but society against society. economy against economy, will against will. We also have words like mercy and restraint, Chen countered. We showed both. Only because you chose to, Vakthar said. And that is what terrifies the Council. Your mercy is not a limitation, it's a decision, which means it can be undecided. We watched your historical archives. We saw what you did to each other before you achieved global unity. The atomic weapons, the trenches, the deliberate starvation of populations. And you did that to yourselves for causes you barely remember now. The chamber fell silent. Chen could feel the weight of 1,000 alien eyes upon her, could sense the fear beneath their formal politeness. So you're banning us, she said finally, because we're good at something you asked us to do. We're banning you, Vakthar replied, because we finally understand what you've been trying to tell us since you joined the Council. War for humanity isn't just violence. It's applied history, applied philosophy, applied psychology. You don't have warriors. You have artists who paint in strategy and blood. And that, Ambassador Chen, is too dangerous for the galaxy. Chen looked at each council member in turn. The Zarkonians surrendered within hours of understanding what we were capable of. They're rebuilding now, under supervision, integrating peacefully. We achieved your objectives with minimal casualties. But you're right about one thing. She leaned forward slightly, her voice dropping. We do see warfare differently, because we learned something the rest of you haven't. War isn't about who can build the biggest fleet or field the most soldiers. It's about understanding your enemy so completely that you can end the conflict before it truly begins. It's about making them see that resistance isn't just futile, it's illogical. Exactly, Mira whispered. That's exactly why you're banned. Ambassador Chen nodded slowly. Then humanity will respect the Council's decision. We'll maintain defensive capabilities only. But remember this moment when the next threat comes. Remember that you chose to fear the solution more than the problem. She turned and walked toward the exit. Behind her, she heard Vakthar call for the final vote. The motion passed unanimously. As the doors sealed behind her, Chen allowed herself a small smile. They had learned fear, and fear, properly applied, was the foundation of lasting peace. Even if they didn't realize it yet, the Council had just ensured humanity's safety better than any military alliance ever could. Because now, every potential aggressor in the galaxy knew one thing. If the Council was afraid of human warfare, they should be absolutely terrified.